Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Thought I'd share with you guys a little quick project that I had to do today in order to do another project. Seems like there's always something that needs to be fixed in the workshop, and that was the case with me today. So I've got a little woodworking project that I'm working on. I'm going to be hand cutting some dovetails to make a little box, and to do that I need to use the front vise on my workbench here so that I can clamp the boards in there. And I have mounted on my workbench, this is my woodworking workbench that I built probably about 15 years ago, but mounted on this is an Emmert Pattern Makers Vise, which is an excellent multi-purpose vise designed to be used by pattern makers to grip just all kinds of crazy shapes and sizes and what have you. I've had this vise on here for some time, and a while back I had a problem that a piece on it broke. And to be quite honest with you, it's one of those projects that it hasn't really prevented me from being able to do what I need to do, and I just have never taken the time to fix it. There's always something more important that needs to be done, and it just wasn't a priority. Well, today it has become a priority because I need to use the vise and I can't have it flopping around. So let me pull you around and show you this Emmert and kind of how it works and how it's different than a regular vise, and show you the problem that we have. So the nice thing about this Emmert vise is that, you know, this is just normal setup here where it operates pretty much like a regular vise. You screw it in, screw it out. But the thing that makes the Emmert so unique is that it is very adjustable. So number one, you got this little cam thing on the front that will tilt this jaw in and out. So if you got a piece that's at a taper or an irregular shape, you can make it fit. It's also designed so that you can move it around in all kinds of different orientations for whatever you're working on. So for example, it can come up, it spins around, so you can, if you want to use it in this orientation, if you flip it all the way over, it actually has a set of vise jaws on here. It's got a set of dogs that come out of the top. This is the bottom, but so you can slide that down. So if you want to grip between these things, and mine, there it goes, it's a little stiff, but these little dogs come up so you can grip something in there. So it's a very versatile vise for doing all kinds of good work. The problem that I've got is that right now, the mechanism that basically holds it in the different orientations is broken. So it's just kind of flopping around on my vise. And if you need to hold something steady, that's not very good. And again, I just haven't taken the time to fix it. So let's bring you down here and kind of show you exactly what's wrong and what we're going to do to fix it. So I've got you kind of looking up underneath the vise, and the vise is tilted up right now. More or less, I got some pieces of wood up underneath there kind of holding it up, but there's a couple of brace pieces up under here that do two different things. So this one here, if you look, this piece here is on a little cam, so that when you turn that, you see it tightens this up and loosens it when you loosen that. So if you notice in here, pull that out, you know, you can kind of see that's on a little bevel, and it matches another bevel there, so that as you rotate that, it tightens up. And we got the same type mechanism back here. And there's this bar that comes through here. So this lock here rotates it, locks it from rotating the vise. And this one back here is basically, there's a rod that comes up, and this is what holds the vise in whatever position at whatever angle you want. So the problem that I had once I got in here is this bolt that comes through here. It was broken, and I'm going to take you up here and we'll show you a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. So here's the bolt that goes through there, and the way this is a 1/2-inch bolt threaded on one end, and it's just got a round head on the other end that just captures that rod in there, and it basically just holds everything in tension. So the problem is there's a taper pin that runs through this that holds this little end piece on. This is a separate piece altogether. It's on there tight, but it's actually a separate piece. And over years of tightening and loosening this up, it basically had just sheared the pin in there, and the cap was still on there, because like you see, it's tight now, but it didn't have anything to hold. So when you tighten that up, it wasn't holding. And when I first looked at it, I didn't realize that until I took it out, and actually the pin was still in there, but it was broken. So I thought, no problem. I took and punched out the old pin. I took a tapered reamer, ran it back through there, it had walled out a little bit, so I enlarged the taper just a little bit, and so I just put me a new taper pin in there. Went to my cabinet where I keep my taper pins, didn't have one that size, so I ran uptown to our local Fastenal store that I have gotten taper pins from many times in the past, and they had a great selection. Well, when I got in there, they had rearranged the store, couldn't find them, got the manager to come over, he couldn't find them, looked in the computer and found out that they had discontinued carrying tapered pins in that particular store because they just weren't selling a lot of them. So he got on the computer and said, yeah, well, I can get you one, but the one you need is in Indianapolis. They don't have one in Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be Monday before I can get one here. This was on Thursday afternoon, excuse me. I said, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, I guess I can order one from McMaster. At least it'll be here late Friday afternoon. I said, no, I really need this quicker. So I said, you know what? I'll just make a new part. So I got a lathe, it's no problem. But instead of putting this on with a taper pin, my plan is that I'm just going to turn this out of a solid piece of 1 inch. This is 1 inch, this is ½ inch. I'm just going to turn it out of a piece of solid 1 inch bar, and that way I don't have to worry about a pin breaking. It'll just be one solid piece. It'll actually be an improved design, and I'm sure they did this for cost saving measures. But anyway, that's the plan. We're going to go out, we're going to make one of these on the lathe. So there's the part we got to make. I got a piece of, this is 1 inch on the big end here. So I've got a piece of 1 inch diameter stock in there. We're going to start by facing this off. I'm going to put a little center in here just to kind of give me some support on the end. We'll turn this down, thread it, and it'll be done. Real quick, simple project. Let's get her done. So we got the part in here. I got this extended out the right length for what I'm going to be doing. That shoulder needs to be right there. I got a mark on there where he stopped. That length's not critical. You know, we just got threads on the other end that's sticking out of the hole. So this is a little long, or even a little short, it's not going to matter, but we should be good enough there. Starting out 1 inch nominal size, got to turn this down to ½ inch, so we got 500 thousandths to take off. Make a 100 thousandths total removal. It'll be a 50 thousandths cut. We should be at about 600 thousandths on the diameter, 630. So I'm going to slow my feed rate down, and I'm going to have to, my tool is hitting my center here, so what I'm going to have to do is turn this a little bit to get a little more clearance in there. Hang on a second. All right, hopefully that'll get me back in there. I'm going to take about half of this out, 2, 4, 6. We'll take 80 thousandths and then clean it up on the last pass. we're good. All right, so we're ready to start threading. I'm going to start by just making a scratch pass here. Make sure that I've got my pitch set on 1/2 inch 13. So we'll just engage right here. That's right on the money. Back to 0. Breathe in a little bit. Let's cut some threads. Didn't feel right. Go to the next number. Going on. That's actually a good fit. So I always get asked questions about threading when I do this in my videos, and I know I didn't go into a lot of detail. I've done some whole videos just talking about threading on the lathe, and if you're interested in that, I'd encourage you to go back and look. And just so you know, when I'm threading, I try to take it until I get the tops of this almost to a sharp point. And usually that's a good indication that you're close, and then so I'll start test fitting it. All right, last step here, we're just going to part this off. I've got that thickness set to the same thickness as the original. And we'll just come in here and get her done. So there you go, guys, one new part. Again, the original one, the taper pin in here had sheared off, and just couldn't get a taper pin that size quick enough for my liking. So instead of ordering a new taper pin and having to wait 3 or 4 days for it to get here, I just made a new part. And the new part, I think, is actually an improvement over the old one because this is all one solid piece. It's never going to come apart. They did this for cost-saving measures. You know, obviously it was cheaper to make these out of just some regular rod and to pin on a larger piece rather than having to turn it out of a solid material. But this is going to be a much stronger design because that pin's never going to shear off because there ain't one in there. So let's go put this back on the vise, and we should be back in business. So we're back over here on the vise now. We're going to put the new pin in. So goes through here. We put the little cam piece in here. And there's 2 nuts that you tighten up on here. And basically you it becomes a jam nut. to hold this in place. So we'll, voila. And now that's going to tighten up, should anyway, to hold it in place. There's supposed to be a washer in between these, so we pull these back off and put a washer in there like it's supposed to be. All right, let's try this again. All right, that tightens up. That one tightens up. Let's see how it works. So we should be able to now tighten that one up, and now my vise is nice and stable. That outside jaw's got some movement in it, but not the inside jaw. And that is much better. You can see that's solid. So if I want to rearrange this, I just can flip this around. If I want to reorient the vise like such, tighten those back up. Rock solid. Just what we want with this Emmert. So we have fixed this problem. So now I'm ready to be able to come in here and cut my dovetails. Very good. Job well done. Thanks for watching, guys.